We're getting up close and personal with the web.
It's been 20 years since the World Wide Web was created, and every aspect of our lives has been touched by this digital revolution.
Tim Berners-Lee is someone who invented something of unbelievable power.
I think the web has humanity connected.
Human civilization as a whole is now witnessing the connection of people everywhere on Earth through this web.
But what are the consequences of this extraordinary new access to information and people? Caught up in the instant connections of the web, few of us pause to wonder what it's doing to us. What is the effect on our relationships? Is the web even changing how we think?
Whether we realize it or not, through the web, we are all participating in an extraordinary and unprecedented experiment for humankind, the outcome of which is far from certain.
The great fear is that this revolution is making our senses and imagination dependent on screens, shifting us from the real world to the virtual.
It's a world that has no consequences. Yeah, it's a world dominated by senses. So why do you need cognition? Why do you need meaning? Why do you need metaphor?
Is it going to bring us a different, better life, or is it going to bring us a different style of communication? That's, I ask that question, I don't have the answer.
We worry that our kids are being sucked into a superficial online culture. Are they, for better or for worse, evolving from Homo sapiens into some sort of Homo interneticus?
A lot of this is a kind of middle-aged, middle-class panic about the web. They're panicked by the future. They're panicked by what they think children are doing.
I'm going to plunge into the fear and the hype to find out whether the web really is trivializing our relationships and rotting our brains. At its heart, this is about what makes us us, and whether the web distorts or enriches our very humanity.
This is the Gutenberg Bible, the printed manuscript that revolutionized society by taking information from the few and giving it to the many. This book irrevocably transformed Western civilization.
When Gutenberg invented the printing press, few of his contemporaries could have predicted the consequences. They thought it was just about churning out a lot of books. But the new media, the printed word, unshackled people from old ways of thinking and fueled the Renaissance. 500 years on, the web seems to be another great leap forward in how we think.
Its characteristics mimic some of those in the ecosystem of the printing press, in that the entry barriers for individuals are extremely low. And the role of ideas, knowledge, information is central.
It makes it much easier for information to be distributed much more quickly and to be copied much more easily, which the printing press did. But it's fundamentally different in that it also makes it possible for anyone to create information. So I think it's probably even more important than the printing press.
Over just 20 years, we've seen how the web is transforming almost every aspect of our outward lives. Its huge impact on culture, politics, and business. But we've yet to understand its deeper impact on our psychology. The first place to look for answers is the place where people use the web more than anywhere else.
If we are to see the web's revolutionary effects on human beings, then we should find them here, This is the most wired nation on Earth, South Korea.
In this digitally enhanced country, the web can be accessed virtually anywhere. South Korea's fiber optic cabling has 10 times quicker download speeds than the broadband that we have in Britain. 62% of Korean 3 to 5-year-olds regularly use the internet, spending over 8 hours every week online. Surveys suggest this is approximately twice the exposure of British 5-year-olds.
It's the young people that the South Koreans are most concerned about. Sped into the digital age and surrounded by high tech since they've been in nappies, they command the headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Koreans are increasingly worried about internet addiction. Their government's own figures reveal this affects up to 210,000 children, many spending up to 18 hours every day online. 80% of those afflicted need medication. 20% have to be admitted to hospital. I'm going to meet Mr. Ko, the government's key advisor on what's become a growing problem. What are the symptoms of internet addiction?
If they don't use the internet, they feel anxious and unstable. They don't feel satisfied. Their friends don't talk to them anymore. And a lot of friction builds up with the relationship with their parents. And those are the consequences of too much internet use. In Korea, there were cases of people using the internet for 18 hours a day.
Korea may seem to be an extreme case, but it does show that the web's effect on our psychology can't be dismissed. And it offers us a glimpse of what might be our future.
The experiences that Korea is facing as a country with internet addiction are experiences that countries like the US will face in 3 to 5 years.
The fear for coming generations extends well beyond South Korea. Back in Britain, the ultimate skeptic is the neuroscientist Susan Greenfield. She tirelessly voices her concern about how the web may be distorting children's sense of reality.
When a child is in the real world, even if it's a real world of a doll's house, this is a world where your doll might break, someone might stamp on your toy soldier. So you're learning that actions have consequences. So imagine you're a young person on a computer. It is a world where there's a strong premium on hearing and vision, on strong sensation. There is a triumph of the senses over the meaning. If you give a human brain an environment where actions don't have consequences, if you give that brain an environment that is just literal, where there is no significance, might it not be the case that that brain stays in an infantilized state? When I talk to parents and people individually, I've yet to meet someone who's disagreed with me. Everyone seems to feel a kind of uneasy fear and a poorly articulated worry that they can't really put into words, but nonetheless they feel there's something that needs to be done.
Susan Greenfield represents the most extreme view. But across Britain, there's unease that children are growing up only knowing life online. That this is a generation consumed by the web.
I have friends and family who are struggling with their children over new technologies. Even the most technologically savvy amongst them find it strange that their kids are more comfortable in front of the screen than they are. Now, I happen to visit many of the same sites that their kids are on, and while I've got used to them, I do still feel a bit like a tourist. I'm constantly amazed at what Generation Web can do with new technology. And so I'm going to go find out what living with Generation Web is really like.
parents across the country need no introduction to this familiar scene.